I think we have to go on the assumption that they are a threat and figure out how they might try to attack us so that we can come up with a defense plan. Gunny, how would you do it and how many men would you need? Ted asked. The grizzled veteran rubbed his chin. I'd try to sneak a few men under the back fence and set up a diversion. Then I'd hit from all four sides at once while the men on the inside took out this command post and any other targets of opportunity. With a well-trained crew of Marines and the element of surprise, I could do it with 50 or 60 men. Mark whistled. Only 50 or 60? I thought the defender's advantage was 3-1. If we have over 100 armed men, shouldn't they need at least 300? That's what the books say, Karate Man. But in real life, things seldom go as the books say. Remember, most of the guys here have never had to fire a shot when the chips are down. When the shit gets deep, only about half of them will keep their heads. The good part for us is that they no longer have the element of total surprise. They may have some training, but they aren't the kind of heartbreakers and life-takers that I was talking about. We can probably handle 100 or more, but I can't make no promises. Besides, there's no way for them to sneak in a diversion team with the lookout towers, Susan said. I wouldn't say that, Jim countered. We have hogs coming under the fence almost every night, and half the time the men on guard duty don't even see them. Then maybe the men should get their eyes checked. They should at least stay awake and do their job, she shot back. Maybe you ought to sit up there on a cloudy night and see if you can spot them before you throw any stones. Jim was visibly upset. Mark was a little surprised to see his best friend let a comment like Susan's bother him. Jim was usually the cool one. Guys, this isn't the time, he said. Gunny, what do we need to do? We ain't really done nothing to our security prep since the first few weeks after the burst. I know that other things have been more pressing, but we need to get back on it. The biggest problem we still have is the back side. The woods come right up to the fence. If we could thin that out some, we could see people before they got up to the fence. I'd feel a lot better. The second priority is to stop vehicles from coming through the fields on the sides and driving them right through the barbed wire. We need to dig ditches down the sides like the ones we got in the front. Then we need foxholes to fight from on the sides and in the back every couple 100 yards. That's a lot of work, Ted said. How long do you think we have? Not very long. The fact that we scared them off is good. Maybe they didn't finish their recon, or maybe the fact that we surprised them will make them think twice. But my guess is that we have a couple of days to a week at most, if and they plan to hit us. There's no way we can get all of that done in even a week. The hell of it is that I'm doubling the guards because of this, and we need to keep sending out the scout teams at the same time, Gunny said. Me and my boys could take over scouting for a while, Billy the Kid said. But don't you think you could be overreacting just a little? You're talking about a group 100 to 200 strong. I haven't seen or heard of any group that big. The biggest group I've seen has been about 20, and they were harmless. 10 or 12 troublemakers at a time is what we've dealt with a few times. I don't think you have to worry about so many. I agree, Susan said, smiling sweetly at Billy. I think you men are overreacting to this. We certainly don't need to double the guards. If you do that, where are we going to get help for all these other projects you want to do? Mark noticed that she received several irritated stares in response to her statements. While Billy's was a sincere question, Susan appeared to be playing gender politics again, or she was just kissing up to the rancher. Probably both, Mark thought. Kurt, have you heard of any groups over 100 men? Gunny asked, making a point of ignoring Susan. Not officially, but there are rumors that there could be some super gangs out there. That's what they're calling them. We saw that group of 60 come down the pipeline, so 100 or more is not that far of a stretch. It makes sense. 2. A lot of criminals were released after the burst. They were supposedly just the ones who were in for nonviolent crimes, I know. But that just means that they were in jail for nonviolent crimes. Just because little Johnny Badass is in the slammer for burglary doesn't mean that he hasn't done worse. Just that we didn't catch him, or couldn't prove it beyond a reasonable doubt. Now all the little Johnnies who are gang members, which is most of them, go back to the gangs they belong to. They might be anywhere from 10 to 50 members. As the deserted places dry up, they start hitting the easy places like Roy Wilkins' house that I told you about a few weeks back. Once those become few and far between, and the only well-armed places are left, some of the gangs will put the past behind them and join forces in an attempt to survive. Even if there are no groups that big right now, there will be. How big do you think they could get? Billy asked. 500 is the number that FEMA estimates. Holy shit. Billy's panache for saying exactly what he was thinking showed through again. You can say that again, Susan said quietly as the number took everyone by surprise. Mark thought that it might change her mind about whether they were overreacting or not. I don't think we would have a group that big yet, Kurt quickly added. In fact, Rob and I have discussed this at length, and we don't think a group bigger than about 300 would be probable. Any more than that, and we think there would be a power struggle and the group would split. Well, that makes me feel a hell of a lot better, Billy said sarcastically. Why haven't you two discussed this with me? Greg Hardy asked accusingly. Because there was no way for us to defend against those kind of numbers at Promise Point, so we decided not to worry you with it, Rob explained. So you two are now like the federal boys and decide what we peons need to know and what we don't? Greg seemed more hurt than mad. You're right, Greg. I'm sorry. It was the first time Mark had seen the lawman remorseful. Anything else we ought to know? Not that it has any bearing on this problem. Mark caught the look that Greg shot at Kurt. The contractor didn't say anything in response, but Mark was sure there would be a spirited conversation between the two in the near future.